All right, hey, we are in the middle of an unbelievable hike we just had this morning.
And Best hike I've ever done.
Oh, yeah. It was, what's the name of the monastery?
Oh, gosh.
I put you on the spot.
No, it's something. It's Greek. It starts with a G.
Georgiapolis or something, monastery.
It's down at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll put the name in the notes or something like that. But it started at the monastery, goes all the way down through this beautiful, steep gorge.
Yeah.
Hundreds of feet high, the walls, and ends up at the ocean. It's just spectacular. So we didn't bring our recording equipment today.
Yeah. Well,
we didn't bring our phones. So
it was going to be a long walk. So we didn't want extra stuff.
So we're kind of doing this on the fly. But in the middle of this, actually, right before you get to the bottom of the gorge that will lead you to the ocean, we come across the ruins of this monastery. That's what we're walking through right now.
Yeah.
And it actually raises the issue, or, the phenomenon of what led these monks to escape society completely. Oh, there's a goat on the hill over there, just wandering around.
Oh,
to
yeah?
escape society completely and then build in these remote locations.
Yeah, because it seems a little bit counterintuitive to say, I want to escape society. I want to live the aesthetic life. Mm-hmm. But then you come to these places and they are the coolest places out here, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather stay here than in my hotel.
They're little hidden gems. So we get this image of the monks who escape and live in a little cave. And then we saw it actually this morning with that church higher up.
Right.
This cave just opens up to this huge, like whoever lived there had a sweet setup, right?
Yeah.
And so it really raises this question, and we were talking a little bit on the way down. We kind of said, I wish we had our camera equipment to do a video real quick to just talk about this idea of what led them to leave society. And I think a lot of times we see these monks and we look at a monastery like this and say, what led them to do this? Well, they wanted to escape society.
Right.
But that's not really what's happening.
Yeah.
They actually wanted to, if you think of it as a hierarchy, they actually wanted to move higher up so they actually had a proper perspective of the culture.
Yeah.
And one of the things the monks do is they constantly are praying for those of us down in the culture, right?
Yeah. And so lots of times, it's not really the case in this monastery, but lots of these monasteries, they're above the town. And so the village is down below them, and they're up in the mountains where they can literally look down and see it.
We went to one that was like way up there, but then it just overlooked the village.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of what they were doing. But you're right. You kind of get this idea that, they were trying to get out of society and they were living this kind of poor, meager life. And in some ways they were. They obviously didn't have...
In some places that's
but in this case, you look at it and it's like, man, they had running water. They have cisterns. They have stuff set up. They go down to the ocean. They literally carved all these rocks from the ocean bed. We've got some pictures and video of that. But
when a goat fell, they had goat stew that night.
That's right, because we found goat number 3. We found 3 dead goats that have fallen off the cliffs. And if you ever saw them, there was some right up here earlier.
Yeah, right up in there.
Yeah, if we saw them,
there's one right there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but
I bet you can't. Yeah,
probably not. He's up anyway, there. Trust us, he's up there.
But yeah, they're up there. So anyway, it just brings up this clarity about what they were trying to do. And you were saying, and I think you're right, that they withdrew from society, yes, and they kind of got off in the wilderness, but they did that to actually draw society out to them. It created this effect where people would want to come out here and say, see, what are those guys building out there? Why are they living the life they're living? And it's almost as sort of an image to say, we're living this aesthetic life. Come out and ask questions. Our doors are always open. Come ask questions. We'll tell you why we're here, what we're praying for. And I don't know, it just made it a little bit clearer that it wasn't just this self-imposed hardship for the sake of hardship. It was something a little bit more.
Right, and you see the paradox of the hermit. That the paradox of the hermit throughout history has always been that the hermit withdraws from society to get a proper perspective to inundate themselves in the spiritual life.
Right.
But in withdrawing from society, society actually seeks out the hermit for their proper perspective on society. And so the paradox, I talk about paradox of the hermit, the paradox is that the more the hermit withdraws from society, the more they're actually sought out for their wisdom. On how to live in society, right? And because that's the person who would have the best perspective.
Yeah. And that actually helps make a little bit more sense of the aesthetic life of,
Yeah.
of the pulling away.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because, I'm antisocial, I want to get away from people.
Yeah.
It was actually to draw people out to where they're at to get their perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And to gain the perspective themselves. So
Yeah, and they didn't have a bad setup here.
I was about to say, I'm sure we'll bring some video in to overlay and show you what
we'll
we've
throw
got.
some
But anyway, until next time.